Two prayer services were held last weekend for healing and reconciliation in response to the clergy sexual abuse crisis. People gathered in both Pittsfield and Springfield to pray for victims and their families. Caroline McGrath has more.
People gathered at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield for a solemn prayer service for healing and reconciliation in response to the clergy sex abuse crisis. The prayer service was a follow-up to 4 listening and dialogue sessions held in February and March.
As we contemplate the need for our church to be healed and to bring healing, I felt it was important that we come together today in prayer, because Jesus always asked us to come to Him in prayer whenever we have a need. So today we come to Him in prayer with supplication, with asking for healing for the victims of clergy sexual abuse, healing for our church, and healing for ourselves, that indeed we may never let this happen again.
The prayer service began with a lighting of candles. The prayer of the faithful included petitions for all survivors of abuse and their families and friends. After the news broke last August of the Pennsylvania grand jury investigation into clergy sexual abuse and the sexual abuse allegations against the now defrocked Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, Bishop Brzezinski pledged prayer and dialogue. In addition to the listening sessions, parishes were also asked to open their doors for a day of prayer for healing on the first Monday of Lent, March 11th. Kathy Picard is a sexual abuse survivor and now a victim's advocate. She helped plan the prayer service.
So I was sexually abused from 7 till I was 17 years old by my stepfather.
Picard shares her story in her book, Life with My Idiot Family. She grew up Catholic and says she certainly understands why people have fallen away from the church. But she says she's hoping to encourage people to go back when they're ready. Picard says while she also has been away from the church, she'd like to come back.
As a survivor, as an advocate of over 17 years, I go out and speak to whoever I can to help them, to give them the faith and to be a leader, to go out and go back to church. You know, it's not just priests that abuse, it's other people.
John Hale, a father of 4, is the chairman of the Diocesan Review Board. Hale is a retired captain from the Hampden County Sheriff's Department and served in the U.S. Air Force. He's also a member of St. Patrick's Parish in South Hadley.
We should have zero tolerance, especially when it comes to children, the most precious things on the planet, okay? And anybody that hurts a little child, we should have zero tolerance for it. And that's another thing I like about the bishop. That's the message that he puts across.
A simultaneous prayer service was held in Berkshire County at St. Joseph's Parish in Pittsfield. Bishop Emeritus Timothy McDonnell delivered the homily.
The actions of those who abuse children have had consequences far beyond anything that might have been imagined. Not only the devastation of individual lives, but the hurt in families, the lifelong pain that so many people are feeling, and the failure of so many shepherds of the flock to protect the lambs.
Lisa Stankiewicz is the Faith Formation Director at St. Agnes in Dalton and helped plan the service.
As I have immediate family who were impacted by the abuse back in the 60s and 70s, but the pain goes on, it doesn't end. And I know that this act is very meaningful, very powerful, that the church is praying for their healing, praying for their peace. So it meant a lot to me to be here.
The bishop said in his homily he's been asked many times, when will this be over? He says his response is always the same. It will never be over because the church always has to remain vigilant and watchful, protecting children and the most vulnerable among us.
Anybody who is in ministry in the church feels that when one member of the body hurts, we all do hurt. And so certainly in this clergy sexual abuse crisis, we all hurt. For the victims, we hurt. For a church that did not live up to what it was supposed to live up to, and for the need for so much healing.
And so with heavy hearts and hopeful hearts, people continue to pray for victims, putting their trust in Jesus, but acting in His name to love and protect. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Caroline McGrath.
And if you have questions or concerns, we have more information at diospringfield.org or via the special email address reportabuse@diospringfield.org.